Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Sudan's opposition alliance says that the military council's 72-hour suspension of talks is regrettable, and demonstrators vow to keep up protests in the capital. Also, soldiers and police cordon off Benin's parliament as the latest round of controversially chosen MPs are sworn in. They were voted in without any opposition candidate in April's ballot, sparking deadly protests at the time. And Africa is in the mix at VivaTech here in Paris. We hear from chiefs at Facebook Africa about the challenges and potential in working with and for consumers on the continent. But first, protest leaders in Sudan have said that they will keep up a sit-in outside of army headquarters, despite military generals having suspended talks on political transition. The opposition alliance had been in delicate negotiations with the military council that took over after Omar al-Bashir was ousted as president last month, when generals demanded late Wednesday, just as a final deal was expected, that roadblocks across Khartoum be taken down before talks continue. Protesters say they won't back down and accuse soldiers of trying to antagonize them on Thursday. Our Nadia Massey's in Khartoum. She tells us more.
People are continuing to arrive at this sit-in in central Khartoum, despite the demands by the military that barricades like this come down. The military says these kinds of barricades are causing chaos, creating gridlock and grinding normal life in the city to a halt. But protesters say with cash machines empty and security forces shooting on unarmed demonstrators, normal life doesn't exist here anyway. People here are demanding systemic change in the way Sudan is run. They want the military gone and democratic elections as soon as possible. But here's the rub. The military has given protesters an ultimatum. You have 72 hours to bring down barricades like this. Otherwise, there is to be no transition and no deal. But for the moment tonight, it seems unlikely the people here will heed that warning.
Nadia Massey there for us in the Sudanese capital. Now, Benin's new members of parliament were sworn in amidst tight security on Thursday. Squads of soldiers were on patrol as a precaution against a repeat of deadly violence that erupted after April's parliamentary vote, which took place with no opposition candidate on the ballot. Nicolas Chemin tells us more.
Benin's 83 new lawmakers are all members of parties that back President Patrice Talon. That's because the opposition did not take part in the election. A new electoral code was voted, and the opposition failed to send in the correct administrative documents on time. Some believe that during this legislature, some lawmakers could leave the ruling party.
The National Assembly is a melting pot where all movements must be represented. Maybe during this legislature, some lawmakers will join the opposition. Everything is possible.
I come here as a beginner, so it's an emotional moment. I start today. I'll take part in writing the country's new laws.
The opposition called this an electoral coup. Violence erupted after the poll. Amnesty International put out the following statement.
The repression has reached worrying proportions in Benin, where 4 people were killed during the post-electoral demonstrations, and the victims' families are finding it hard to see the bodies because of administrative hurdles.
Turnout was low, only 27% of voters showed up. Many observers were surprised by the violence, as Benin for years has been viewed as one of the most democratic states in West Africa.
Kenyan Olympic runner Margaret Wambui's expressed her despair over the International Association of Athletics Federation's requirements that women with high levels of testosterone take medication to suppress them. South Africa's Track Federation was one of 2 parties, alongside South African Olympian Caster Semenya, to take the IAAF to court to challenge its testosterone regulations. Judges there found that female athletes with elevated levels of testosterone have an unfair advantage. Wambui says that her future is uncertain and that the ruling is unfair.
I'm worried now. I'm already worried about my career because I just know that since I was a small kid, I just grew up knowing that this is my career now. So for now, I feel so disappointed. In men, everybody has got testosterone, and when you have got high level of it in men category, you are likely maybe to perform well, and we celebrate that. But when it comes to women, we have to tell them to lower it, and we throw them out of competition. Why?
Well, here in Paris, tech industry leaders from around the world have turned up this week for the 3-day VivaTech Summit. It's one of the more diverse tech events in Europe, and Africa's put in a good showing. There's a whole zone dedicated to African innovators. Entrepreneurs from the continent were out in force pitching to potential investors, but it was also a chance for tech giants to showcase their investment and plans on the continent. The head of Facebook Africa earlier told us that the platform's following its African customers' leads.
Consumer is as varied as the world consumer. On one end, you have consumers that are looking for products that are data light because maybe the cost of being online is a little bit prohibitive, so we ensure that we have customers. Facebook Lite, for example, in Africa is a very popular app because people are coming online and making sure that they have an affordable access. On the other end, we're working with some of the amazing partners in making sure that we're bringing augmented reality for people that want to shop, people that want to try on. So it's really a gamut from really the basic level of coming online and experiencing our products, really to the high-end sophisticated project. The continent is diverse, it is exciting, and we try and make sure that we cater for everyone.
Well, for more on Facebook in Africa, I'm joined by Proud Zambukira. He works with entrepreneurs and startups on the continent in finding their space and face on the platform. Proud, thanks so much for coming in. I hope you enjoyed VivaTech.
I did. Thank you for having us.
Well, great. So we heard there a little bit about the efforts being made to make sure that consumers find it easy to use Facebook, but also Facebook's investing a lot in working with African businesses. How do you do that? What is it that you can offer African businesses?
Right. So there's a large opportunity for a lot of African businesses on the continent to grow their customer base and to make money by using our platform. Our platform is already used by a lot of their customers as a place where they communicate, form community, and a whole bunch of things. So my job is to work with businesses to find where they can plug into the platform and build solutions that can help them meet customers where they are. So that could be from messaging. So I work a lot with telcos, for example, that are trying to build very straightforward ways for people to top up airtime on through messaging, all the way to customer care. So if somebody needs to buy something or to get servicing for their device, they can do it directly through messaging. So yeah, that's my focus.
So do they find you or do you find them? Is there a particular kind of business Facebook's looking for in Africa?
It works both ways. So much of the time, they find us or they come to us looking for somebody to partner with them to figure out how to actually build something that makes sense on the platform. And half the time we build very interesting solutions on our side that we feel like are relevant for the continent or for any developer anywhere in the world. And my job is to take some of those new APIs and some of those new products and to go to the market, find the businesses that might benefit from integrating with that API or building products on top of that platform, and then trying to find things that can actually drive business value by building on top of that.
And working in Africa, have you identified any kind of characteristics or priorities that are in any way specifically African in a way that might be at all different from the kind of either motivations or desires of people anywhere else in the world?
Yeah, I think that the biggest opportunity when it comes to African tech right now is what people call social commerce, right? It's this behavior that we see every day in Africa where people find each other through groups, communities, WhatsApp groups, and so on, and they find products that they want, they connect, they buy products in this very organic way. So there's a very large opportunity for merchants and payments providers to actually build stuff that can help make the lives of people doing that a little bit easier. So somebody who's selling, shoes on the corner can have a platform through which they can more easily reach a very large audience, build on that audience, and collect payments from people who are buying some of those products through where the conversation begins on WhatsApp or on Messenger and then leads to an actual purchase. So I think that's a very exciting opportunity where there's a lot of potential.
We heard Nunu mention earlier that Facebook's also trying to make sure that as many people as possible have access to, well, not only to Facebook, but to going online. How does that work? How does Facebook, a very discrete, specific platform, have any influence in how many people have access to the internet?
Right. So Facebook, I think one of the things that our mission is to get more people connected, right, and to build community. And part of reaching that mission is making sure that people actually get online in the first place. So we invest quite a lot through partnerships with mobile operators. We invest in some products that enable people to come online for the first time. So one of the products that's really popular all through sub-Saharan Africa is Free Basics, which is a service through which people can experience the value of being connected and being online for free. You're solving for affordability and discovery of the value of being online through a service that is free and where we can offer some basic services that people can explore, and then through that see that there might be something for them on the internet.
And you are in Paris for the VivaTech tech conference, tech event. There are a lot of African faces and African entrepreneurs at the event. Is that at all relevant? What kind of good can that actually bring people operating in Africa when an event's happening all the way over in Europe? Is there a relevance between the two?
Yes, it's pretty exciting to be here and to see the level of participation of African startups. I think that the big message that they're sending to the world is that we're actually building in Africa, right? Like, there's not this sense of what's to come or an aspiration of the future of Africa. Is the Africa of now, right? And so all of these startups that are here are showcasing some pretty groundbreaking tech that is actually relevant not just for Africa, but at a global stage. You mentioned AR and people that are investing in AR as a technology based in Africa. So we're seeing a lot of startups at VivaTech that are building some pretty awesome products. And I think just seeing their participation in this stage is a huge sign that we're at a point in the ecosystem in Africa with technology where we're building things that are extremely relevant and that are driving value for consumers and that are ready for the world as well.
Thanks very much. Proud, thank you very much for coming to speak to us. That is, though, where we're going to have to leave it now for Eye on Africa. Thanks very much for joining us. Do so again if you can. Take care.